I'm going to be sharing with you a person you don't know, and that's the young me. And I believe that the young people that we were are really foundational of who we are now. So my presentation is part of an ongoing project that I hope will eventually, by the time I leave the planet, catch up with myself. But at the moment, what I'm showing you is the early stages of an ongoing project. And I will be speaking over it, but it will be completely visual. And I can't be interrupted. Okay, let's go. For my late big sister, Dr. Deb Clarke, who gave me more than I can name, including most of these photos, and Charlie. Before I came along, Mum and my 5 siblings. My mother's name was Marcia, but here she is, Mrs. W.R. Clarke of Gordon and her 5 children. Mrs. Clarke is keenly interested in parent education. I feel I have 5 good reasons to be. She's attended lectures and discussion groups with the WAA in New Zealand and Sydney, and at a conference last year spoke as being the parent who is being educated. So it appears my mother's life was just taking off when I came along. My dad, Mr. W.R. Clarke, or Bill as he was known, was 10 years older than Mum. He may well have thought he was done with children. The unplanned addition. I was born September 28, 1953. I quickly learnt that being cute had cachet. I started drawing early. It was just something you did in our family, a way to fit into the busy milieu. As the others grew older, Mum and I shared more time together, alone, and with our dog. She gave me freedom to explore. Dad was ever watchful, at a distance. I was fine on my own. I created my own world. That's my first oil painting, 80 by 60 centimetres at age 7. The play gap between me and my older siblings was filled by my animals. Charcoal drawing of a black swan. I've always loved birds. My best friend Debbie Payton and I were born 2 weeks apart, same name but so different. Mum said, opposites attract. Look how dirty our pants are. The gully under the Gordon suspension bridge was our special place. My brothers would be sent a yow from the bridge when it was time to come home. Childhood friendships changed as families moved, but my connection to my animals was long-lasting. Through my childhood and into adolescence, my bunnies lived to the ripe old age of 13. This is a large ink drawing of a Siamese cat and a centipede. In January every year, we holidayed at Avoca Beach. We all loved that place. My brothers took up surfing. Here's Rod, hanging 5. My sisters were hanging out on the beach with their gang. I found my own entertainment. In all the photos where I look like I'm alone, Karina was with me. Here she is, aged 25. Despite our age difference, Karina and I had much to share. I enjoyed being her muse, her collaborator. We understood each other. There were adventures in the bush too. Being out in the bush is something I enjoyed with my whole family and still do with Lyndall, my one remaining sibling, the eldest, now aged 84. Here she is at her 21st. I was only 7. Lyndall brought music to my life and she still does. My brother Topper loved a party. Such a showman. This is Steph at Topper's 21st, wearing the jacket she just finished that day. Parties were part of life as the big birthdays rocked around. Even Dad enjoyed the parties. That's Rod beside him. Dad was a banker with rich country clients. He fostered such good relations that one of his clients invited us to their thoroughbred stud called Woodlands. He must have told them how much I loved horses. Good on you, Dad. Holidays at Woodlands were like heaven for me. Mum was in heaven too. She loved fossicking for beautiful river stones. Steph loved Woodlands too. Here is Steph at Woodlands, age 22, already a serious smoker. So sadly, she and Karina both died from lung cancer, and my brothers died from smoking-related cancer too. But unfortunately not when I was a child. They had many more years to live. Aside from Mum, it was Steph who most influenced me creatively as a child. But there was a long time when I just painted horses. Here I am at Willoughby Workshop Arts Centre talking through ideas with my tutor. I was so lucky to have had the experience of their enlightened approach in my childhood and adolescent years. This is a monotype print done at the workshop. We were introduced to many different mediums there. Drawing horses was absorbing, but it didn't quell my longing for one. Each of my sisters in turn had wanted a horse. Would I be the lucky one? The spoilt one? I was just 12 when I was given an ancient pony mare to ride and look after for a year. She taught me a new level of responsibility and trust. It was a trial run for all of us. At age 12, I won the Youth Arts Scholarship at Willoughby Workshop Arts Centre. With me is Ruth Downs, who exhibited here at Araluen in 2007. That's one of the paintings from that thing. In my 12th year, Mum bought me a pony. He was small, willful, and eventually willing. I gained confidence. And courage. In many ways, he grew me up, made me strong. But eventually I outgrew him. Life was leading me elsewhere. This photo was taken by a photographer with my mother's and my permission. This was taken by my sister's husband. I was almost 15. And this one too. If Mum thought anything about these photos, when they were taken, or why he printed them red, she never said anything, and neither did I. But the photos were there in their family album for all to see. At 16, I found my first real boyfriend, Graham, the son of a minister. Graham and I were inseparable. He gave me a kind of protection, though I didn't see it that way at the time, of course. Time in the bush with school friends was important too. Here I am on plein air drawing on a weekend away in year 11. This is part of my HSC drawing portfolio, created after seeing a film about apartheid. It was just done from memory after the film. The later years of high school was the time I developed an active social conscience. My own family was divided over the Vietnam War. My brother Topper was conscripted and went to Vietnam as an officer. We were all scared for him, but our father was really proud, not the rest of us. Incendiary arguments happened over mealtime, particularly when I went to anti-Vietnam demos and the Springboks boycott during school hours. Despite these schisms, I did well in my HSC. I was granted a Commonwealth scholarship and went straight to Sydney Uni to study anthropology, psychology and fine arts. In that first year, I excelled beyond anyone's expectations, including my own. My parents were delighted, but it was not the experience I expected or wanted. So like many of my peers, I chucked it in. Underlyingly, I think it was a big finger at my dad. His fearful conservatism and desire to control was something I really needed to challenge, for better, for worse, and I did. Graham and I both had motorcycles. After I left uni, we headed north, riding all the way to Cooktown, visiting the realms of hippiedom and counterculture along the way. Graham and I survived that big road trip and then moved into a shared house with friends. I was about 23 when I walked away from that first long-term relationship. I survived financially during numerous casual jobs, generally centred around caring for kids and the arts. When I saved enough money, I headed up north again to explore the alternative. I looked after a friend's A-frame on the edge of the rainforest. With a dog to keep me company, I had a beautiful time making stuff and meeting people. It was paradise. I sent this photo to Mum and Dad. I wonder what they thought. I made brooches and earrings from brass while living in the hills at Mullumbimby. Teaching myself, I was then inspired to come back to Sydney to study jewellery making. I enrolled at Sydney College of the Arts, but the college was steeped in conceptualism at that time, so there was very little hands-on experience in the first year. And then I met Terry. For pocket money at college, I posed naked in nature for a respected and respectful photographer. His name was John Blackadder. Already busy with college and Terry, I took a part-time job with local council as their coordinator for International Year of the Child. I was pretty short of dollars. By the end of that year, I was pregnant. Terry and I grew into our decision. We look forward to having our baby. And Emryn was born in August 1980. Terry was a proud new dad. He got his first full-time job in years at a photographic store. Friends could not believe the change in him. When Emryn was just a year old, Terry and I became founding members of a rural cooperative or commune that was starting up on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. We didn't live there, but it became a big part of our lives, attending meetings and spending time on the land whenever we could make the 500-kilometre journey to Bundagen. Bundagen was an amazing thing to be part of. It's still going strong today, 40 plus years later. One of the borders of the land at Bundagen is the ocean. When Emryn was old enough to be looked after by my mum and dad, who were by then nearly 70 and 80, I went back to study art through TAFE part-time. This is quite a huge portrait I did of Terry and Emryn while I was at TAFE. As I was finding my stride at TAFE, Terry was losing his. He was a great dad, but he wasn't cut out for 9 to 5 in retail. When Emryn went to preschool, I took a job at an art supply warehouse to spread the load and to stock up. I went to TAFE at night, and Terry read the bedtime stories. But things felt shaky in our little world. We married to shore things up. It was a nice wedding. We planned another pregnancy. But that little girl was not born to live. The grief was more than I could say. The relationship was crumbling, and then I was unfaithful. Eventually, I left our marriage. If this had been a happy ever after story, I would not be here now, here in Alice Mbantua, with Charlie and with you all. So thank you for the privilege of being able to show you a little of who I am. Thanks, everyone.